Hey there, Game Baron here, coming to you live-ish from E3,
Live-ish.
or
It's the best way, really.
pre-E3. Yes, exactly, with a legendary person in the games industry, Mr. Ben Judd from DDM agency. Ben, how are you doing?
Good. I'm going to have to object to you calling me legendary. I'm at most a demigod. Let's be honest.
Everybody who knows you worships you. I'm pretty
Uh,
sure of it.
I don't think my ex-girlfriends would say that they worship me. But hey, you know what? I appreciate the nice statement.
Uh, Thank you very much. So, DDM, what is it that you do?
You know, I have this discussion with my mother like 3 or 4 times. I think I should probably just record it and just like play it for people, and then I could like do other things and be more efficient, right? Ultimately, I'm a video game agent, and I did not know that these things existed or that was an actual job type until after I was 6 or 7 years into my career at Capcom. Um, we were doing a game internally, and I needed to find a motion capture studio that was in the West. Excuse me. And surprisingly enough, um, even though Capcom was such a big company, it didn't know a lot of different motion capture studios because they're primarily Japanese studio. So they knew a lot of Japanese motion capture studios, but not Western ones. And so I talked with the Resident Evil team, and they said, "Well, we know one, but we're using them, so you can't use them." So I said, "Okay then." So I decided to talk with Capcom USA, and they gave me like two or three of them. Of the three options, one of them was the studio that the Resident Evil team was using, so I couldn't use them. Another one was a company called House of Moves, which is incredibly expensive and was going to be way over budget. And so ultimately, it became clear to me that even though we are a very big organization, we didn't have a lot of options. We didn't have somebody actively going out and pursuing that information, and we also didn't have um, a lot of it collected in an area where it was accessible or understood by all the teams. Because sometimes these different studios will come and pitch you, but it would be pretty much like they'd pitch one person, and then that one person wouldn't share the information, or it wouldn't get disseminated across the 1,000-person company. It was at that time I met an agent who said, he said, "Oh, you're looking for a motion capture studio? Oh, sure, we know tons." And then literally gave me a list of 12 different motion capture studios, and I said, "Holy shit, there is use of a service like this for us." And he said, "Yeah, well, we pitch developers too." And basically, then after that, we went on a roadshow and met all these different great Western developers. And so I started to realize that when I was at Capcom, I knew all the IP that they were working on, and that was cool as a producer. But I was, of course, limited to only working on Capcom IP, and I love games in general, certainly Japanese games. So by transitioning my career into being an agent, it has allowed me to work with tons of incredibly talented teams. I get to work with all the publishers, first party, middleware, all of that. I don't think there is another job out there in the entire game industry that allows you this much of an objective perspective on the game industry, and certainly to be this connected and have this much information. We know a lot of the secrets that no other company would, and we know it before other companies do. Anybody at Sony, they know all the Sony secrets, but they don't know the Microsoft secrets. Anybody at Apple, they know the Apple secrets, but they don't know the Android secrets. And yet we work with all these people, so we get to know all of that intel, which is great.
That's interesting. I've been on your site, and the one thing that other agencies don't do is that they help you. And what from I learned in business is a pitch deck. And I saw your pitch deck. I'm thinking, oh wow, these guys really plan ahead for their clients to make sure that they get the most possible help needed in order to push their game forward. So in the 10 years that you guys have been around collectively, how is that like to be prepared to help others in order to, make their games grow?
So at the end of the day, we're not super competitive. We feel that our reputation, that our clients, that our professionalism, that's going to speak for ourselves. And when you're at a point where you have that sort of level of confidence, you're okay sharing some of the secret sauce, which is basically how to pitch is a very important piece to getting funding. And it's a piece where a lot of indie developers don't realize how much pain and suffering comes with doing this. And even the bigger companies, if you're going to sign a big game, you're looking at 6 months to 9 months before that game gets signed. And if you've got 200 people, you're spending millions per month trying to feed them. And so when you ramp up, when you ramp down, could basically mean the survival of your company or your company going away. So it's an incredible important piece of the process, but it's something where we share that information obviously on our website. And yes, we're okay doing that because we understand that the service that we provide, being able to help a developer navigate that, being able to tell them what targets work, say, hey, don't waste your time pitching this developer, or sorry, this publisher, because your budget's too high, or hey, this publisher only is interested in this sort of game, so you shouldn't pitch them. You're really only ever at a major show like this, E3, GDC, Gamescom, only going to get about 10, if you're very, very lucky, 15 pitch meetings. And most developers that do it on their own are only going to get 4 or 5.
Wow.
So giving yourself that many extra chances at bat, that's what you do with an agency. And we make sure that you have the right people and the right meetings.